once again back in Sweden, but this time further north in the capital city. Stockholm hosts the 4th DreamHack Masters. The favorites Astralis, FaZe Clan, and Na'Vi were all seeded into different groups. MIBR and Mousesports shared their journey to the playoffs. But early on, eyes were drawn to North as they managed to win their group, beating Astralis in a best-of-3 winners match.
Grenade takes down Sip, and now Nico there to sneak it in. This is looking great, North. They might have just done it 1-on-4 here for Device, and this is nothing short of a historic victory for North. They have been struggling for a long time. They faced the best team in the world right here at the group stage.
And I was there 2 weeks before, so we didn't have much practice. We were just happy to go to play like second in the group. We didn't expect to win over Astralis that time.
In the semi-finals, the German Mice in Mousesports clawed their way to a 16-0 win on Dust 2. But North bounced back and won the series.
Now through the door, looking for the kill. AC missing it, and there it is! 16-0 for Mousesports.
We played versus Mousesports in the semi-final, and it was on Dust 2, and we lost 16-0, I think. And I went outside, and we were talking, and people were a little bit down, but I said, I'd rather lose big on a map and then lose 16-14 on overtime.
Nico, can he do it again? He takes the face off of Oscar, and now just runs left. North, how have they got into this position? They should have lost this round quite a while ago. Robs getting the 1 kill on the other side. Champion going to be going down.
There's no time.
No! 16-14. Covering that long line. Oh! Snaps is gone. No more blood.
In the all-Danish Grand Final, the fans witnessed an outcome that nobody expected.
Is this the moment when North take them down? Fronta's just gonna buy this time and wait. Mages on a prowl. Oh, spins around on a pivot, lands the head.
Kirby, he was sitting like with his hands in his head. He didn't like. Then 5 seconds after, he realized we have won. I remember he said that, and we went out on the stage and lifted the trophy. It was like, yeah, I don't even know how to say. It was crazy. My win at DreamHack Masters Stockholm was the first big thing in my esport career. So that showed me that I was still good enough, or not good enough, but that I could play with the top teams.
After a great series, North made sure that everyone heard their roar.
It may have been the first big thing in Nico's career, but now he's no longer with North. He's with Heroic, and they're hoping to reach new heights in the DreamHack Masters winter. But will they take the trophy this time? You'll have to wait and watch to find out.
DreamHack Masters Winter is brought to you by Intel, Corsair, Monster Energy, and MSI.
Welcome to the quarterfinals of the DreamHack Masters Winter. My name is Frankie Ward. I've got Scrawny and I've got Launders with me right now. Scrawny didn't eat a burger yesterday, for anyone who is watching that thrilling storyline develop. Launders ate half of his, but the biggest scandal so far, gentlemen, is...
Got salmon.
I got salmon, it was great. I came to the desk, right, we come in this morning and we're just like, where are the 4 bars of chocolate, the massive bars of chocolate that our lovely talent manager Declan got for us to get us through these whole 7 days. And it turned out 3 bars disappeared overnight. And I found half of them on the desk. James Banks yesterday got so stressed during the North American matches that he stressed ate his way through them. He's all about his protein bars. He's all about living that healthy life. You should check him out on Instagram because he's getting them gains. But clearly, yesterday was just too much for him.
Stress chocolate. I've been there.
We all?
I might go there later. Although, to be fair, I haven't actually had to really eat chocolate during our matches because we've had some pretty fantastic ones.
Yeah, the matches are chocolate here in Europe. They've been pretty fantastic.
They go down very well indeed. And we couldn't actually do this. We couldn't enjoy this Counter-Strike without our sponsors. We have Monster Energy, Intel, Corsair, MSI, and the US Air Force. Thank you so much for making this event happen. And we should talk about some of the events so far because Cloud9. They've been in the lower bracket, Scrawny, but they're actually gaining strength with every single match.
Yes, they're kind of leapfrogging their way match by match up into a more competitive form where we're going to have to see what they can do with a real test ahead of them. An inability to close on Dust 2 versus Ents kind of made things seem a bit wonky, but then they had a strong second map showing. All was good. They move on. They have their next matchup. Spirit, another contender, better form than Ents. Same situation, 16-14 on the first map. We saw a great second half from Spirit to try and claw their way back into that game. A really back and forth match in terms of economy, and then a second map blowout again from Cloud9. So we see them gaining strength. We see them gaining momentum. They're rolling down the mountain, but what lies ahead of them next is the wall that's already stopped them.
It's almost like Dr. Disrespect, but in reverse.
Sure.
Yeah. Launders, Astralis as well, they are another team that ended up shockingly in the lower bracket given that they got knocked down there by Godsent. And the matches that we've covered on this stream, it's really hard to see how that happened because they're playing so fantastically well at the moment.
Definitely. Yeah, with Godsent, that was a bit of an anomaly, but since then they've gotten stronger. This has happened to Astralis at actually many tournaments where they go into the lower bracket and then progressively through the tournament they get a lot better. This is with the addition of Glaive. So we have them coming in and they're able to both take down Liquid and G2. And these are big scalps. Liquid, so much history there. G2, actually very similar map pools. No change in this last series. And a team that they played very recently. So this was a big win because they lost to G2 the last time. And they've shown they've gotten a lot better. And Glaive's calling was something that I felt I was calling back to a lot of the times when we were commentating. It was something that was a point of interest. And they made G2 and Liquid question marks for the future, and that's how good they looked. So it was pretty impressive stuff.
Yeah, let's take a look at the bracket then. It's really interesting, with Astralis, their next competitor is going to be Gambit, and Gambit sailed through the upper bracket. They had incredibly convincing performances on their way through against Complexity and also Cloud9 as well. So with Astralis, this is the first time these two teams are going to meet each other, and I think it could be quite close.
Oh my God, who knows? Who knows what this is going to bring? I think Zipix, he kind of said, I think they have reverence for Gambit, but at the same time, they're like, oh, because it's online, some teams maybe wouldn't expect them to get this good, and they looked at Gambit as one of those teams. So I think they're putting an asterisk on their win versus Cloud9 and Complexity, but they're going to talk about it in the server. Right now, they get to prove whether or not Gambit are overrated or overlooked. And I think that's going to be the storyline coming into this match.
Scrawny, what do you reckon for Furia Complexity?
Oh man, hopefully just sparks. I want fireworks in the server with that one. There's tons of firepower. Individually, I would say some of those players are showing us incredible form at the moment. Config has taken over maps, and the same can be said for like Vinny on Inferno. So I'm quite curious to see what happens there. I don't necessarily think that either of those teams are going to go on to find themselves in the finals or win this event, but I do think that in terms of quarterfinals, that one could be a real treat.
Well, if you're into your sausage sharks, then you should check out the B stream because that is where Furia and Complexity are going to play out their quarterfinal. Twitch.tv/DreamHackCS2. It's literally the same Twitch channel as this one, except with a 2 on the end. Right now, you can actually see they're going through the NA bracket on the B stream right now. I believe that's Tom Biz and Vince who will be taking you through the quarterfinals today. And for us, we've actually got to get to throw over someone else as well because, well, we will in a second. First of all, apologies. We're going to actually look at what's going on both the A stream and the B stream. So we've got Heroic Godsend that's coming up first, and then that Furia Esports versus Complexity match. And then on the main stream, Mouse v Cloud9, that's coming up first for us. And then we've got Gambit versus Astralis.
Yeah, Mouse versus Cloud9, a very cool match. I mean, I guess maybe we shouldn't dive deep into it just yet. I just want to, you know what I mean? Like, this is the rematch already. It hasn't been that long since they last played. And what's nice about it is it's like the stepping stones we're talking about, Cloud9 gaining momentum. They were also on a 2-win streak, looking better and better before they met Mousesports last week and lost. Same situation, gaining speed. Let's see if they stop them again.
That is going to be our new tongue twister.
Yeah, in some sense, it's their worst loss and most interesting one because the first 2 games they played, it could have been anything. It could have been nerves, it could have been the competition of the level of that day, but it wasn't like a top team that took down Cloud9. This one versus Mouse was the most telling. They exploited their weaknesses, took control of things, and as Cloud9 were getting stronger, Mouse still took them down. So this is why this is such a hot rematch.
Well, while we met Mousesports, we sent off Get Right to meet Stiko from Heroic.
For almost my entire life, playing Counter-Strike was everything, and it was everything I dreamed of. I won trophies, traveled the world, and played in the biggest arenas. I spent my career as a player being asked the same stupid questions.
How do you feel?
Over and over.
What went wrong?
And over again.
You had a terrible CT side. How did you turn it round to take the game? Why are Astralis the best team in the world?
But now I have decided to face a new challenge, to interview the players I once faced on the servers. Because if Frankie can do it, I mean, anyone can do it. Hi Stick, how are you doing, buddy?
Hey, yeah, well, rough day in the office, but I'm trying to manage. But looking forward to the interview.
I want to go way back when you got the opportunity to join Hellraisers. How did you join that team in the first place?
That's a pretty good question. I used to play with my Czech and Slovakian teammates in a team, and we were kind of doing pretty good job in the local scene and also showing pretty promising results in international tournaments. And that was the time actually when FPL started. We got invited directly into the FPL just based on our recent results, which was we were kind of the worst players and most unknown players in the FPL back then. I grinded a lot of hours into FPL, and I remember Flasha won that first month of FPL, and I was close behind him, I believe.
Yeah.
After first month, Oscar got invited to Hellraisers to stand in for a couple of games because Adrian and Mo, they were leaving the team, both of them. They needed one more player, and Oscar tried to vouch for me. And that's how we landed on Hellraisers for a couple of games. I wasn't feeling very comfortable. I was doing already something that I wasn't used to from my previous team. I had no experience doing that against top team, let alone. I had to kind of adapt, and LMBT helped me tremendously with that. So, props to him.
No, that's pretty cool. I mean, LMBT is. I know he will take some responsibility, you know, like as a father figure as he is, you know, like he likes to help people, even though he sounds like an old, grumpy, old, angry guy time to time.
Yeah.
But Godsend, it's a quite interesting project, if you ask me. You're supposed to be a little bit more like a star player now then. Like you're taking a little bit more bigger roles than you did before. You're taking more stand of yourself. But like, how did that team created in the beginning? Because in the beginning it was like Thomas, Michael Ele, you, Sen.
It was with Nuki as well. Crystal was there all the time. Michael Ele and Crystal was there all the time. But before Thomas came in, there was a Nuki. It's kind of funny story how it all got created or whatever. I got benched in Mousesports. I took 2 weeks off that I tried to sit down and think, what the hell am I doing with my life? I wanted to stay away from PC for a little bit. And after I came back, it took one FPL game for me to get on this team. I was having offers that I wasn't really interested in, but I was still in Mousesports. There was no big team interested in me that would buy me out. So I was on the bench, and only option for me was to play for the team without an organization, right? And these guys were having no organization. I was teammate with Michael Ele on that FPL game. And it was probably my only game in that year. Played one game, and after that he said, hey, you want to go on a team? I really liked how you combed, how you played, how you behaved with your teammates, whatever. And I said, yeah, let's try it. I mean, you have no organization. I'm still benched in Mousesports, so I'm going to just try it out and see how it goes. It's better than me playing FPL. I would rather play in a team, even if we're not the best team in the world. Obviously, we're just a mixed team. But still, the team CS is a drug to me, you know?
Yeah.
You want to play that as much as you want. Yeah, it was an interesting time, definitely. So I'm saying one FPL game brought me back into the scene, and one FPL month brought me into the scene in the first place in 2015, right?
Yeah, it's hilarious. Thank you so much for having me, Stico, and good luck on Masters.
Thanks for having me.
Stico there from the heroic team of Counter-Strike. Godsend, but they will be going up against a team called Heroic later on the B stream, twitch.tv/DreamHackCS2. Please don't fire me. Okay then, Stico, like, he's a player who has had such a reinvention. He was kind of a star player back in the day, joined Hellraisers, and then he became more supportive when he went to Mousesports, and now he's being his best self again.
Yeah, he was one of the players that was talked about in the same line as Faflaren, where he was so bad that you would say he was a support player because of that. But he has had a complete resurgence coming into Godsend. Like, he was always regarded as a good teammate, a role player, and someone who was a good piece of Mousesports. But now on Godsend, he is the focal point, the star, and that's incredible to see. There's not many stories like that in CS.
Well,
I was just going to say, I think his interview when he's talking about the fact that one FPL game kind of brings him back into it, let that serve as a reminder that, you know, when you wake up in the morning, you don't know if you're going to have a life-changing day. On that day, he did. So.
Get that printed on a blooming mug. Stat. Right, we're going to take a look at the ESL Pro Tour points. Genuinely. That was lovely.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, so these are the point allocations. So we're looking at Europe today. 400 points goes to the first place. The teams that make it to the quarterfinals but go home today, they get 75 points apiece. And then things get really interesting, to be honest, when we get to the finals. That's where these are the game-changing points. So if we take a look at the European breakdown and where things stand, first place is essential for quite a few of these teams, like Mousesports, for example.
Yeah, Mousesports, I mean, sitting at 654, you stack 400 points on that, and, well, you're over 1,000. So suddenly they are up there on the fringe of the top 6. Depends on the results of some other teams, of course. Complexity's still within there, closer to the cusp than Mousesports particularly. And I think, like, unfortunately, we could have talked about the Spirit narrative the same way we would Mousesports, as they're neck and neck, but Spirit kind of kicked the bucket yesterday.
And 4 more teams are going to be kicking the bucket. We're going to be starting off our matches on the A stream with Cloud9 versus Mouse. Winner goes to the semi-final, loser goes home, but you guys don't go anywhere.